This video is about using the profiler in Unity. The profiler is a system, is a software that Unity provides so that you can analyze your game frame by frame. Let's take a look at it. To open up the profiler, you have to go to the window, analysis, and click on the profiler. I already got it ducked in here. And the profiler, let me just maximize this. The profiler has different windows, different sections: CPU usage, rendering, memory, audio, and so on and so forth. And each of them provides you with the details of usage of CPU or GPU, memory, and etc. To actually get this data, you're going to have to run your game once. So I will just run my sample project once and get this data. So I've run my project and got some data here. Let's analyze it. Here in the CPU usage, if I click and drag my mouse, I can see that I will be able to analyze each frame. As you can see in the top here, I'm currently on the in the frame 8442, and in this frame I can see in the hierarchy view, I can change this view, of course. I can make it like a timeline. It shows all the methods that are run in a timeline kind of window, or I can use it in the hierarchy. And in this frame, for example, I can see how much CPU or memory each method has used, and using this this information, I can optimize my methods or change them or remove them. So let's take a look at this peak here and see what's taking so much CPU. As you can see, it's the editor loop that's taking a total of 98% of this process here. If I take a look around here, for example, I can see it's about 71%, but in this peak, it's taking up 98%. So the editor loop is actually the processes that are being run by the Unity's editor itself. So it's nothing much that you would be worried, you need to be worried about. Because in your final project, when you export your game, this process overhead will not exist. However, what's interesting here is this player loop. If I open it up and take a look at it, just drag this up, all right, I will be able to see all my scripts that are being run in the game. And for example, camera render is taking up about 0.5% of my CPU power, and I can see that my update methods are taking up about 0.5% of the CPU. So my update methods are kind of complex, and I have this field of view dot update, which is using physics 2D raycast, and this is the field of view of my AI in this game, in this sample game. And I know that it takes, as you can see, it takes about 420 calls to the physics 2D raycast, and it's a complex method, but I need it, so I can't just, maybe I can optimize the code, change the algorithm a bit, but I know that I expect this method to be complex, to be taking up some CPU power, but it's a good thing to be aware of these things. Going down to this next section, I will jump to the memory section because it's an important one. If I click on it and just go to a frame like this, around maybe this peak here, I can see that down here I have a total used memory of 1 gigabyte, 1.2 gigabytes, and it will tell me how much each of the assets of my game is taking up space. You have to be careful here because the profiler itself is taking up some space. And also this is the memory that your game is using while it's in the editor. So in reality, it will take kind of less memory than what you're seeing here. But it's a good thing to take a look out for. There are other sections like physics that, or the network messages that you can take a look at if your game is a multiplayer game. But the next interesting thing here is the UI, I think, and you will see in the UI section that if you've got a complex UI, you're showing the user so many things. You will see that the rendering here, as you can see, the render here is blue. If I turn it off, you can see the layout itself is not taking up much of the performance, but the rendering is kind of heavy, and you have to be careful about what you're going to render and show to the user each frame. If you think that your UI is getting too complex, you have to take a look at the UI here. So that's about it about the profiler. Just keep in mind that the two most important things that you probably be using is the CPU usage and the memory section. Apart from that, you can play around with it, see what data each section gives you, and what are some of the deep analysis that it can provide. But apart from that, just keep in mind that these two sections are the most important ones.